Hello there, Mike the MC, bringing the self-care video. Off to a shaky start. Man, this can mean so many different themes for today's video. Where I'm going to draw the idea behind this is bringing up this concept of if not everything is perfect, okay, you're still rolling with the day as it is, as a real day in life, right? Not everything's going to be pretty, and you're going to push through, right? And that's kind of like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a real downer, but not necessarily, because if you think about it, without the challenges that you have to face, how are you going to grow from a real day in life with misery and pain and sometimes laughter and sometimes hardships? But then you recognize when you are succeeding in all those hardships, all of a sudden you see you're a superstar, you're a hero, you're a rock star, right? You're about to embark on something and you're like, wow, I can really tackle this project, this problem, because I've done things like this before. Even if it's a little new, a little different, I could still tackle this. I could do this like I have done with other things before. This will be great. And now you're wondering, okay, this is a great start. Or this awkward start, it's now turning into a good one. And now I can turn this in my favor moving forward. And I think there are many things to be said about that. And I will share with you in the context like, okay, now maybe my career has gone in different directions in different times of my life, going from engineering to the priesthood to counseling as a social worker to now tackling other different projects in my life with other things. And I'm thinking, okay, what is my focus? What is my aim? What is the scope of what I want to accomplish in my life? And I'm thinking, okay, if I have a scope in mind, if I have something I want to accomplish, okay, at least I can carry forward in my career and say, okay, I'm proud of the things I've accomplished, the people I've met, the people I've chosen to be with. And we were just talking about this at work the other day, the chosen family, right? Those who pick you because you're the one who needs maybe a little bit of help, or maybe you're on the other side of that and you recognize, oh, your coworker needs a hand. Your coworker needs someone to talk with, to spend some time with. And you're the one who wants to be friendly in this regard. And so when you're chosen by others to be a part of their lives, to be a part of something good, you see that, okay, maybe there's nothing wrong with me going through these hardships because I see that I have to go through them in order to become a stronger person, to become someone who wants to adventure off and face a challenge in order to grow and learn from these many mistakes. How many of us can jump in and say, hey, I want to go to a different country, learn a whole new language, learn a whole new mathematical system, right? A whole new way of living. And you're like, oh my gosh, so many different changes just right off the bat. And you think, oh my gosh, how can anyone do this? But then look at history. Look at the people who've come before us and you're thinking, okay, we see history, but what is the point of it, right? Can we learn from our past mistakes? Can we learn from the people who have shared all those lessons in life? And yeah, of course we can. But the thing is, being humanity, we just fall into old patterns that we just cannot seem to fall out of. And you're thinking, oh my gosh, how are we going to learn from my mistakes? How am I going to change things forward for me so that way I'm not falling to the past, the old narratives, the old way of doing things, and saying, hey, maybe I'm not an evil person, but so I can do life this way. I don't have to give anybody a terrible rap, or I don't have to give anyone the cold shoulder, etc. Maybe I can go out and be a good person and turn this situation into a positive. But once again, going back to the theme of a shaky start, when you're thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to get back on my feet and recover? And I think when you look at the recoveries of life, the people who have, maybe you see this a lot in sports. This is why I love watching a lot of famous sports that we all like to see with athletes who are trying to become superstars. All of a sudden they crash. And you're thinking, where did all that happen? Why did a superstar who was on the verge of being great all of a sudden crash from the top to the bottom? Looking at all these factors, okay, maybe all the fame got into their mind. They were not willing to practice anymore because they wanted to go out and party. All of a sudden now the money is now really throwing them off to go out and live a life that is not conducive to being a superstar. And you think, okay, what are other factors that come into play? Well, maybe poor coaching, maybe a poor culture, a poor mindset even of the person themselves of not believing that they can do it. And so even if you are building yourself up, you have all this hype around you, it just can be extinguished just like a candle, just so quickly. And you recognize, okay, when my hype is extinguished just like that, There's no more flame. And now I have nothing more to push from my own image into this scene. That's going to be a dark time. That's going to be a dark time. Kind of thinking even like from an artistic standpoint. If I'm out of ink, if I'm out of any more water to clean the brush, etc., right, how are you going to continue forward in your project if you're in the middle of it and you recognize, oh my gosh, my tools are gone, I am now in an awkward position, I cannot finish this art piece, I cannot finish this paper report because my laptop is now on the fritz, it's just acting very foolish, very stupid, it's just not cooperating with the internet, etc. I'm now in the middle of the project, and now I am really off to a shaky start, because now going from the start to the middle portion of your work, how am I going to go and succeed and accomplish what I was set to go out to finish? And you're stuck there, and you're looking at all the crossroads, you're looking at everybody who's looking around you, excuse me, and you're looking at people who you would feel would be good mentors even at this point. You want someone to give you a heads up, an idea. Say, hey, are you going to give me an idea? I need some help right now. Or can you give me that piece of advice? Because right now it's not doing so well. I am struggling right now. I'm struggling and I would like you to give me some advice. Can you do that? And then you have the other people that are like, hey, no, we're not going to give you advice because you yourself, you kind of think you're a hotshot. Why don't you go and solve it? And so you have the people even who will say, oh my gosh, you go figure things out. And that's really has been a context of some of my trouble in the past before, where people would go and say, nah, you got this, you can figure it out. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go and solve this problem. I'll go and figure this out on my own. I don't need your advice on this one. I'll just go and do this. And to succeed and then to feel good about it always felt great. But the thing was, not to come off snarky, not to come off like that. No, I'm just saying that this is real life. So either you'll have the supporters who are with you or the people who want to put you on the spot, especially if it's an enemy and they're saying, hey, let's get to put this individual, him, her, on the spot now because they're now in a state of situational need. They need support right now, and without our support, now we'll put them to the test. We'll see if they can follow through on these projects and see if they can succeed and not look like they're in charge of the situation. We'll see. And so you wonder, how am I going to get out of this mess? So I would say stay in the pocket. Stay in the pocket. Face your opponents. Face the people who are going against you. Face the projects with some courage. Remembering that, hey, I was here for a reason. I was here to help save the football team. I was here to help bring success to this company. I was here to bring change to a culture. I was here for this. Maybe I don't have the success right now, but at the very least, I can at least push forward to tomorrow. Because I know that today I am succeeding and making it a big difference by accomplishing what has to be done. And so when you see yourself taking a nap and you're like, oh my gosh, I just fell asleep. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like today even I was just like, oh my gosh, I took a nap and I didn't feel so great. And I'm like, this took me off my schedule just for a bit. But then I got back on track and I was like, yeah, that's life. Life is full of these downs, and you have to have them in order to have all the greatness, the success in your day. Especially when you make something and you want people to say, hey, look at that other video this guy posted. Okay, this guy's not stopping. This guy's still going. This guy's very persistent. And that's the thing. That persistence through a shaky start can really be the difference of you separating yourself from people who already had the good start, but all of a sudden they were starting to burn out. Or maybe they had a good start and they were still succeeding, but all of a sudden you had a higher trajectory and you eventually went past them because you found the greater model, the greater way of solving problems much faster in your journey. So everyone's on a journey of growth. And when you're on a shaky start, that just means you're still figuring out how things are working, how things are run. Maybe you don't know how things work with your boss. Maybe you don't know how things work with your department. Maybe you don't know how things work with your community. And these are things I have to face every day and then figure out, okay, how do I match what the community wants, what my boss wants, what my agency wants, my department, and then matching those needs, not just my personal, but back to the client's needs and to the people that we work with, so that way everybody is on the same page. That takes a lot of communication, thoroughness, a lot of diligence to say, hey, a shaky start does not mean I will fail. A shaky start just means I'm going to have greater growth in the end. Greater growth to really surpass my opponents because they're not willing to solve problems while they struggle. They're not willing to stay in the mud and figure out why things as they are happening to them are occurring. And you think about that. How is it that the people that come across us in life say, hey, I have a better life than you. You could just stay down. You don't have to surpass me. I'm just so much better than you. But then you think, hey, I failed this certification exam several times for these different things, which I have. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to pass this exam the next time? So I put more time, I put more study, or I figure maybe not so much memorization, study and learn about the material in a different way. Be funny, be creative, maybe even tab the book a little differently. And you're thinking, okay, now the information's coming to my mind much simpler, because my opponent was not willing to stay in the mud to figure things out, but I was. And all of a sudden now, we have the solutions to figure things out, to pass the exams, and to really become superstars in what we're working on towards. And you think, okay, by staying in the mud, that may be the theme, I don't know, that you figure from a shaky start, you're going to find all these things out when you're struggling. And with the struggles, you will find the roads, the pathways to the success, because you are building up your intuition, problem solving, expanding your mind, and you're not following what's given to you like many of these superstars that try to be drafted in from sports to the pros, and all of a sudden they crash because they cannot think, they cannot adjust, they're not willing to study and figure new pathways to solve the problems, right? They're not willing to explore. But being stuck in the mud allows you to explore, because you have to survive. You have to get out of it. You have to get out of the mud into the better pathway. And when you find those pathways in life and you're able to share with others how to get there, and from me to you, it's very plausible, very plausible. And so always be dedicated to your work. Learn from your mistakes on the errors from your past tests and exams. Learn from your past failures in relationships where, okay, maybe I spent too much time focusing about myself, being so anxious, oh, how do I look? What am I saying? To now thinking, hey, just drop the pressure one thing at a time. Just be at peace and say, hey, I can relax in this moment with the person I'm talking with on the date. Or having troubles talking with your family or friends, etc. Think about, okay, let me think about this differently. I can spend time with him because I'm very proud of who I am, and I'm happy to spend time with other people. It's not about me being a superstar, making it a show. I just am recognizing that I'm here for a different purpose. And when you are in the mud and you find these reasons to the purposes to get you out into the right pathway, that's more powerful than just staying stuck and trying to figure things out. And when you find your real purposes to life for different tasks that you're trying to accomplish in the mud, you're going to succeed. And that's just something to think about for the next day. All right, everyone. I hope this video finds you well today. Don't give up on yourself. Think about the ways, the different pathways you could get to when you have a better, stronger way of just being resilient, and then having the hope that you can find the new purposes for your new tasks that you're working on, or the same ones even, and you're just trying to figure out in the mud, how am I going to get there? And when your purpose is renewed, you are resolved to figure things out. You are now set up to succeed, because you have found a way to succeed and are ready to replicate and share that success with others who are willing to be your students. All right, everyone. Hope this video finds you well today. Take care. Have a good one.